operations. Here will be the notes that I'll be using. And then a visual aid will be the flight operations room, as well as the helicopters outside. You really can't beat that. And starting my time. Alright, I'll be giving the informative speech. Today we're going to talk about medevac helicopter operations. If you want to check out the reference on this, there'll be a Brigade Aviation Handbook, as well as the Medevac Operations Handbook, which is 4.0, Medevac Operations Handbook. Presentation aid will be the flight operations room, as well as the helicopters we just panned out to. First question is, I want you to think about the importance of saving lives on the battlefield. What is the most important aspect of doing it? It may not be what you think. The most important aspect is actually time. In the medical world, they call that the magical hour. If an injured person is able to receive medical attention within that hour, their chances of survival are drastically increased. They get to see a physician that's dedicated to helping them, and therefore, they're actually able to receive the medical attention that they need and able to get their lives saved. The helicopter is able to bypass roads, hills, and fly directly to the injured person, which is a far cry from normal transport, which is limited to ground availability. The helicopters save countless lives, and today I'm going to talk about its past, present, and future operations, as well as the aircraft that have been used. First, I will describe the operations and the types used. The types used, we initiated with a Bell H-13. Now, when you think about the Bell H-13, that was used in the Korean War. It's a smaller helicopter, and the actual person was held on the outside of the aircraft. It's what you think of when you think of MASH. MASH was historically accurate, and that medical operation started during the Korean War. Next, we moved on to the iconic Huey. That's the UH-H-1. And the Huey is known for basically implementing the medevac as full operational capabilities. Another interesting fact about the Huey is that it's known for, as you ever hear the term chopper, that's because of the sound the Huey makes. Today we use the UH-60 Blackhawk, which is the aircraft we just pointed to earlier. And the H-60 Blackhawk offers more space and larger engines and a larger capability for medevac operations. Those are the types we're going to move on to the history. Like I said, originally it originated in the Korean War, and then really implemented and gained notoriety during the Vietnam War. During this time, it actually got its own distinction. It was given its own assets at this time. It wasn't necessarily just an add-on mission for the aircraft. Then it became part of the Medical Service Corps. And then when that happened, its own units were formed, meaning it actually received its own personnel and dedicated assets. And that's what truly makes medevac its own element, is those dedicated medical assets. That's the history of its current operations. It's part of every Army General Support Aviation Battalion, or GSAB, and only the Army actually has air medical assets. Some other branches, like the Marine Corps and the Navy, they'll have helicopters that they'll use for medevac operations, but the Army is the only one that has those dedicated medevac assets. And currently we use the UH-60 Blackhawk helicopter in the GSAB for this. And we're kind of working that fine balance of aviation and medicine. You're looking at, the medics have to be concurrent within the aviation elements, and even the crew chiefs have to be fairly concurrent within the medical assets, because you're dealing with limited crew and a lot of different things can happen in the aircraft. Moving on to the future of medevac, looking at possibly changing out the UH-60, as it has a very short span of just that it can be flown. One of the options is the V-22 Osprey. We're looking at configuring it so it can have better hovering capabilities for medevac operations, making it a larger part of the GSAB, as well as increasing the National Guard's role in medevac. The reason the National Guard is so effective in medevac is because most of the medics have civilian jobs in that field, whether it be firefighters or EMTs, so they're specially trained. They bring a different skill set that a lot of the active Army components didn't have. So we talked about the types of aircraft used, we talked about the history, the current operations, and the potential for future medevac operations. I'd like to conclude with just kind of building an image of what it would be like to be stranded on a battlefield, alone and scared. The sound of the helicopter would be a really magical sound. And the reason that is because you know that that's there to help you, and you know that your whole situation is changing from that point. It's a technological advance that shows how far we've overcome in experiencing gravity in flight. Air ambulance has formed the dangers of battlefield and has become a life-saving device in the civilian world as well. This transformation shows that even in the perils of battle, can produce life-saving technology. That concludes my speech on the medevac operations, and thanks for listening.